A double dip of basketball to open the winter season. The men start slow but slam the door late in their opener. And the women's team handles its first opponent with a nice mix of newcomers and veterans.
And we're here on the scene where Wednesday night men's basketball welcome fans back in the building to tip off their 2021 season. We're live from the Liacouras Center for the start of 2021-2022 Temple Hoops. OwlSports Update is live, and it starts right now.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update and happy Veterans Day. I'm Sage Hurley and I'm lonely at the desk today. You might be wondering where my partner in crime is.
Well, I guess a new season warrants a new location as I'm on the scene here at the Liacouras Center as the residential basketball guru for the next 30 minutes. Now, what a better place to start than the men's season opener when they welcomed in Maryland Eastern Shore. "606 days. That's how long it's been since fans have been inside the Liacouras Center. Early in this one, the Owls giving those fans a treat. Some great interior passing leads to the slam from Jake Forrester. But Maryland Eastern Shore putting up an early fight. Right before halftime, Davis Chase drills a three to bring Maryland Eastern Shore within one. In the second half now, the Owls start pulling away. Temple fans, get used to this name, Zach Hicks. The freshman forward out of Camden Catholic knocked down 3 second-half three-pointers to springboard the Owls in front. This time Hicks finding his teammate Caleb Battle, who knocks down the triple. And if that wasn't enough, a fast break in the final moments for the team's leading scorer and an exclamation point slam sends the fans home happy after a long wait. Temple wins the opener 72-49. Some standouts from Wednesday night. Caleb Battle picked up right where he left off and is still leading the team in points, scoring a very efficient 22 points to go along with 6 boards. And his right-hand man, Damian Dunn, just looked meaner and stronger than last season. Dunn finished with 18 points, and many of those points were coming contested.
And, it's first game jitters, so, it's kind of hard to get your feet under you. You can practice all year, but until you start playing against a real team, it's a little different.
I want to chalk it up as having an out-of-body experience because I know for a fact that we were much better than what we displayed in the first half. And we just a step slow.
It's some normalcy back now. We can finally call it home again. And like Caleb said, just having that energy back, it's a booster for us.
Every year, fans can circle 3 games in the form of Villanova, Memphis, and Houston. This year, Owl fans can add another. That's USC. Now, while the Trojans aren't ranked currently, they finished last year in the top 10, specifically ranked 9th. Now, this should be a great test when USC comes to the Liacouras Center, this Saturday for the Owls' second game of the season. This matchup is just the second time the Trojans will face the Owls in program history and be their very first time on Broad. Tune in to ESPN Plus on Saturday at 7 p.m., or if you're tuning in from the Golden State, 4 p.m.
We might be a few blocks away from each other, but that won't stop us from breaking down all things men's basketball. And let's start with what we learned from Game 1. We knew going into Wednesday night's contest that this would be a soft opening to the Owl season. We also knew that nearly the entire roster is now made of McKee's own recruits, and it showed. One of those guys is freshman guard Jeremiah Williams. There he is, he scored 7. But the star of the show, 6'5" sophomore guard Caleb Battle. He led the team in points, scoring 22, with redshirt freshman Damian Dunn close behind at 18. This young team showed real promise, but they have a recent Elite 8 competitor coming off the plane on Saturday with a much tougher defense in tow.
Now, before we look ahead too far, Sports Illustrated does an article every year. They rank every Division I team in the country. Maryland Eastern Shore was dead last at 358. Yes, last night's second half was fun, but that was expected. What I'm looking for this year, rotation, rotation, rotation. Temple has an enviable problem. They have a backlog in the backcourt. Caleb Battle, Damian Dunn, Jeremiah Williams. Will all those three start? And who will be the one coming off the bench? I'll be looking for that all year. But don't forget about the front court. Jake Forrester has shown steady improvement since his freshman year here. And now you got Sage Tolbert here. Can he pick up the slack when Jake Forrester inevitably gets into foul trouble, which we've seen? Now, someone who we won't be seeing in the rotation, at least not right away, Coach Aaron McKee, just a couple weeks before the season, extended a walk-on spot to a junior. OwlSports Update's Brielle Berry has more.
Thanks, Josh. On this Temple basketball team, the Owls only had one other walk-on in Colin Daly prior to the start of the season. But this fall, junior guard Ryan Sayers grabbed a second walk-on spot and looks to lead this team in ways other than on the court. From playing basketball for Owen J. Roberts High School to playing pickup at 16th and Berks, and now at the Leah Chorus Center, it wasn't the road most traveled, but Ryan Sayers is now playing at the highest level for a college athlete.
I worked really, really hard over the last 2 years and got my aim and my body right. That was really important to me.
In high school, Sayers averaged 14 points per game as a senior, as well as knocking down 43 pointers. For Aaron McKee, it's not at all likely he will put up the same numbers, but he's on the team as a walk-on, which is not easy to do at this level.
When Pearson opens up at noon every day, I would be there at noon on the dot every day, working for 2 hours and my ball handling, shooting, everything I knew I would need to make this team.
As a walk-on, Sayers knows his role on the team to support his teammates on and off the court day in and day out, and taking advantage of the time when he grabs some game minutes.
He's a glue guy, keeps the team together. If he keeps doing what he does, he'll see some time.
I just know he'll be ready. I see him in the gym as much as me.
Sayers' basketball journey at Temple started right here at 16th and Berks, where he played pickup for his first 2 years of college. Sayers is the only walk-on to make the team this school year. The Owen J. Roberts 2019 Offensive Player of the Year hopes to make an impact on this promising men's team. In addition to Sayers, the Owls have brought in 4 other players, with one of them missing last season due to injury. They brought in Hasir Miller, the 2021 PA 4A Player of the Year, Emmanuel Akpomo, a transfer from Wake Forest. Jaleel White will make his debut this year after missing last year with a meniscus tear. And finally, Zach Hicks, who was second team All-New Jersey. This is officially an Aaron McKee team. Sage and Josh, back to you.
Thanks, Brielle. We can talk about basketball all day, and we will for the most part, but there's a lot going on off the court.
Yes, when we come back, I'll take over to talk about the 3-6 football team, its upcoming game versus nationally ranked Houston, and one important player leaving town via the portal. Stick around. In the wake of yet another demoralizing Temple football loss against ECU on Saturday, receiver Jaden Blue has announced he has entered the transfer portal. Blue has been on Temple's roster since 2017, and during that time, he's been one of the team's foremost offensive weapons. In fact, Blue is the only receiver in program history to record more than 1,000 yards in one season. And it's not like the Owls can afford to lose any playmakers. It's no secret that Temple football is struggling. The Owls' last win was back on October 2nd. Since then, it's been 4 losses in a row by an average of 28 points. And this weekend's game versus Houston doesn't look to help these recent trends. The Owls will still try to salvage what's left of their season in their matchup against the 17th-ranked Cougars, who have won 8 straight. In fact, the Cougars have not lost a single game since their season opener in September against Texas Tech. And Temple, they're facing what very likely could become a 5-game losing streak. Temple took a trip down south to play a game that went south real fast versus ECU this past Saturday. First quarter, to the air we go. Holton Ahlers finds Ryan Jones for 33 yards in the game's first score. Ehlers threw for 3 and ran for 1, but he wasn't perfect. The Owls did put some pressure on this interception, but the turnover didn't lead to any offense. Quarterback DeJuan Mathis went down again with an injury, and the bad news doesn't stop there. This run by Keaton Mitchell gives the Pirates a 35-0 lead. The Owls are blown out again, this time 45-3 for their 4th straight loss. There is no question the future of the football team will be addressed during the offseason by Temple's new athletic director. Arthur Johnson stopped by our TV3 studio on Tuesday for his first live interview with our Inside the Nest crew. Ray Dunn and Jackson Neal asked Mr. Johnson about the struggling athletic program, student athletes' new name, image, and likeness opportunities, and his goals for the next 5 years.
Athletes who have been very welcoming and open to meeting me and visiting with me. Our coaches and staff have been great, but really overall in visiting with your donors, those supporters, to talk about how much they truly love Temple and what the experience means to them. The goal is to elevate all of them, not just to focus on 1 or 2 sports. Obviously, some get more attention than others, but we got over 500 student athletes who represent us in 19 different sports, and they all are interested in winning. We're all still trying to figure out how this is going to change the landscape of college athletics. But I think we have a great opportunity here in this greater Philadelphia community to really take advantage of NIL. No, right now we're in the AAC, and our goal is to be the best team that we can be in the AAC across the board. And that includes winning championships. So winning championships in sports and continuing the great academic job that Justin and the team here has done with our student athletes across the board, but also having success in competition in all of our sports and having a number of championships and participating in postseason play.
Fall sports are winding down with limited success over the last few months, but Temple Field Hockey did make a playoff push and ended up in the Big East tournament. Inside the Nest reporter Emily Cochran is taking a break from football to tell us more. Hi, Emily.
Thanks, Sage. Focusing on the women in cherry and white, the field hockey team shocked nationally ranked UConn on its final conference game to qualify for the postseason. Their prize, nationally ranked and the top seed in the Big East, Liberty. It was a good fight, but the Owls didn't have enough for another upset, falling 4-2 to number 8 Liberty, the eventual conference winner. Sophomore Sydney Beck and freshman Devin Kinzel scored the only 2 goals of the day, with Beck having 2 shots on goal and Kinzel having 1. Goalie Megan Ragusa had 2 saves, but it wasn't enough. The Owls end the year at 8-11. Since 2015, the Owls have made it to 4 Big East tournaments. However, they have only had 1 win, and that win was in 2015 against Villanova in overtime 2-1. Temple has been outscored by opponents 37-13 in the last 9 playoff games. That's a wrap on the field hockey season, and that's a wrap for me. I'm Emily Cochran. Sage, back to you on the desk.
It's halftime, but stay tuned for all things women's basketball, including part of an exclusive interview I had with the AAC Preseason Player of the Year, Mia Davis. We're coming right back with Josh Safran at the Liacouras Center.
Hello and welcome back on into OwlSports Update, where we have a lot more to get to. This time, a little bit more emphasis on the ladies. Tuesday night's opener, we got to see 8 new faces on the women's team, and no one dazzled like Norfolk State transfer Giselle Thomas. With fans back in Pearson, there was a palpable buzz in the arena. However, early on, it was St. Francis, PA feeling that buzz. They got off to a hot shooting start. That's Lily Penzel knocking down the triple for the Red Flash. As the game goes on, however, the Owls batten down the hatches. A trap leads to a steal that turns into a fast break where Anaya Gordine stops on a dime for the deuce. Now a little later on, Mia Davis penetrates but finds a wide open Alexa Williamson. Second half now, a look at a freshman. That's the 27th ranked high school guard in the nation, Tiara East, shaking, baking, and putting her defender in the spin cycle to extend Temple's lead. And after a bit of a bumpy start, Temple takes care of business easily by a score of 73-53. Now, looking ahead to the Owls' next matchup, they'll be heading down to Fort Myers, Florida to take on Florida Gulf Coast. The Eagles are 2-0 all-time against Temple. Those 2 wins came in the last 2 seasons, but there's hope for Owls fans. Mia Davis is averaging 25 points and 12.5 rebounds in those 2 losses. Now, there is no secret who the best athlete is at Temple. Try to convince us that that is not Mia Davis.
A few years, a pandemic, and a whole lot of Temple sports ago, I interviewed Mia Davis, then entering her junior year, about her leadership role on the team. Now, she's in her 6th season at Temple as a graduate senior, and she will leave Broad Street as one of the best women's basketball players in program history. I sat down with her to talk about her impact, this year's team, and her future after Temple. Before we start off with questions, I gotta show you something. This is a picture of you and I. You were the very first athlete I ever interviewed at Temple.
I actually do remember this.
Does that 2017-2018 season, does that seem like yesterday?
Yes, I talk about it every day with Imani. I can't believe that we're grad students, we in grad school, we about to enter the real world, yes.
You've hardly missed any games since your sophomore year. What are you most proud of in all of those games? Just the durability to keep playing, the records?
Definitely just the ability to be able to come in every day and do something I love, and just wearing a Temple jersey. I'm not one of the ones that get caught up in maybe the awards, the stats. I just go out and play, and if it happens, it happens.
5 years ago, what brought you here to Temple?
Just when I came on my visit, the family atmosphere, the team, of course.
So you talk about that family aspect. Do you think you found that in your past 5 years?
Definitely. This is my second home. I love Philly. I love my teammates, my coaches. This definitely a family atmosphere.
I saw you guys went to a climbing thing together. How was that?
Oh, that was really funny. We have a lot of different personalities on the team, and it's you just laugh at something new every day. It's never a dull moment with them. But the climbing thing was really fun. Who was I in back of? Jasha. She took 15 minutes to get across the course because she was so scared. But Coach, at the end, Coach, gave us a message, instead of maybe, laughing at people, maybe give them some encouraging words to get them movement. So after we noticed that, we encouraged each other a lot, and we got through the course.
So talking about that, what's next for you?
I definitely want to play professional basketball, so I'm looking forward to that after I graduate.
I know there's a lot of chatter that Philadelphia deserves a WNBA team.
Yes,
what do you think about that?
I definitely think that Philadelphia deserves a WNBA team, and I would love to play for them if they do.
What do you have to say to the fans? What can they look out for this season for the Temple basketball team?
To my Owl fans, you just enjoy watching the games, especially since we got 9 new people. And also, I can't wait to see my Owls fans there, because last year we didn't have any fans, so I can't wait to get that feeling again.
There's more where that came from. Look for my extended interview with Mia on our social platforms, Twitter and Instagram, at OwlSports Update, coming up real soon.
Great stuff, Sage. Thank you so much. And we welcome on in someone who's seen a lot of Mia Davis over the years, and Scott Walkoff. Thank you so much for coming on the show. So, Scott, I got to ask you, no fans last year, but the year before, we saw some great promos. Hooters' birthday, meme night was my personal favorite. What are some promos that fans can be looking forward to this upcoming season like that?
First and foremost, I was going to say, where's the marching band or the pep band? I was promised a big introduction here when I walked in. Apparently not here. But you can see them, obviously, on game nights here at the Leah Center, McGonigal Hall, for Temple men's and women's basketball. Some of the promotions we do have. Hooters' birthday will be back, obviously, this year. Obviously, you're a big fan of that, which is good. Meme night will be back. We're looking at recognizing some of our Elite 8 teams from the past, from 1991 and 2001. We've got the 20th anniversary for that. And the 30th anniversary, we will have some halftime acts coming in this year. We actually have Frisbee Dogs. Get excited out there. Frisbee Dogs will be here on Saturday night for the game against USC, and some special cams utilizing the phenomenal new video board we have here in the Leah Center. We're excited to have fans back in the stands as glamorous as those fan cutouts were of people's pets and their families and our season ticket holders, it's not the same as having that energy here in the stadium.
No, completely agree, and I'm already looking forward to some of these events. Now, it was a couple years prior, attendance was sort of on the decline here at Temple and was known for their basketball. What are we anticipating this year in regards to the attendance numbers?
I think, look, keeping it real, we're obviously still in the middle of a pandemic. So I think there's still going to be some people that are a little afraid to come out, being that it's indoors, even though we do have the indoor mask policy. And we can expect that. And what I would say is, and I say this to a lot of people, we can't control what happens on the court, can't control what happens on the field. We can control what we can control. And in this aspect, in this case, it's the atmosphere. So whether there's a few people in the arena, there's a lot of people and it's sold out, it doesn't matter to us. We want to win the game if we can, but we want to control the atmosphere. And if people leave the arena having had a great time and want to come back, that's what's important to us.
And you certainly got off to a great start last night. Loud crowd after that Caliph battle dunk.
Yep.
But now looking back a couple of years, like I said, before the shutdown, only 4 players are still on this team from that year. So how do you go about marketing a team with so much turnover and that may still be looking for that one star player?
Well, we're still a young, exciting team, and I think you saw that last night, especially with Battle's dunk, at the end there. And again, it's about the atmosphere. It doesn't have to be about the players. With the cams we have, the promotions we have on the court, that excitement, that's going to get people to come back out. And if we continue to win games like we did last night, you're going to have more and more people in the stands.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show. I am so excited for those Frisbee dogs, that's for sure. But we have stars to look at this time with winning records and great individual performances. Stick around.
We're back, and so is our Sage and Saffron Spotlight.
Finally, some wins and real individual standouts. I'm going to be starting with a new face on the women's side.
I don't usually say this, but let's take a break from basketball. My spotlight player this week is graduate receiver Randall Jones. With Jaden Blue out of the picture, he's the next man up for that #1 receiver spot, and he deserves it. He leads the team in receiving touchdowns with 3 and yards with 398.
Against St. Francis, Temple got off to a bit of a sloppy start. That is except for the Norfolk State transfer Giselle Thomas. In her Owls debut, Thomas scored a game-high 20 points on an efficient 7 for 11 from the field. And if that wasn't good enough, she had her hands in the cookie jar. She finished this game with 3 steals. What a first impression from Giselle.
On the calendar, the women's basketball team is on the road along with the volleyball team. Feel free to be a couch potato on Saturday with football at noon and men's hoops at 7. And on Sunday, volleyball caps the weekend at Tulsa.
And you can follow along with us all throughout the men's and women's basketball seasons on Twitter at OwlSports Update. We'll catch you next Tuesday as Inside the Nest recaps Temple's football game against Houston. And the next edition of OwlSports Update airs on Thursday with Luke Mealy and Lindsey Moppert. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but a huge Saturday and a huge weekend for Temple Athletics. I know it may be crazy, but I'm saying at least one of these teams comes out of the weekend with a victory.
Have a great day and a safe rest of your week.